All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to our 2024 BioTAP conference. And for those of you just joining us, welcome. We're heading into our last session of the day, which we have an amazing lineup of talks for you today. So we're going to kick it off now with Eric Akuoko and Grant Gardner from Middle Tennessee State University. And I'll invite them to take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm trying to get my screen share going here so that you guys can actually see what I'm... hold on. Sorry. We had this all figured out, and then it's not letting me share my... Hold on.
Always
Oh,
how
there it is.
tech goes.
I got it. I got it.
There we go.
Sorry. Apologies. Can you guys see that now?
Yep.
All right. Good deal. Excellent. All right. And you guys do not see my presenter notes, right? I don't want to give away any ending here. All right. Good deal. Well, thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I'm not sure what number BioTAP conferences is for me, but I think I've been at every one. So we're really eager to share a little bit about this work we've been doing about supports and barriers to graduate student teaching professional development. And so I just wanted to point you out throughout this talk, we might use the acronym GSTPD. I use that so I don't have to say graduate student teaching professional development over and over and over again, or else I will get tongue-tied. All right, come on, scroll. All right, so our research team includes several members of the original BioTAP group. So this work is supported by NSF and includes Gilly, Chris, and Beth. With this new project, you'll also be hearing from Dr. Eric Akuoko, who is serving as our postdoctoral research on the project. This is an NSF-sponsored project, and I just want you to note that we have not finished this work yet. We have just finished the first round of data collection, and so what we're going to be sharing with you today is a little bit about the process and then some of our initial findings related to supports and barriers of GSTPD. All right. So I want to make a little argument for the importance of this work, but I won't beat a dead horse here because we've been talking about this for 2 days. So as I believe most folks at the conference know, there's a lot of data that demonstrates the numerous and diverse roles that graduate students play in the instruction of undergraduate STEM students. So STEM graduate students play an important role in undergraduate STEM instruction, both in the quality of their instruction and the quantity of students they teach. And we have other data that supports that despite the large impact that STEM graduate students can have on their undergrad students, their opportunities to engage in professional development are often few and far between. And furthermore, opportunities for TPD that are available to graduate students often are optional. And so there's a lot going on in this slide here, I know, but this is some work that Beth Schuessler's done, and it basically just highlights the point of the diversity of TPD opportunities that graduate students have. So one thing that we've been considering in our research team is sort of this complex and hierarchical ecosystem within which STEM graduate student teaching professional development takes place. One model that's been particularly useful for our thinking in our research team is this Bronfenbrenner ecosystems theory model that I'm showing here. And you don't need to see all the details, but I'll walk you through some of the important components here. What this looks at is the various ecosystem levels and their influences on an individual's growth and behavior. And what I would draw your attention to is the center of this model, the light gray, indicates the individual, and the outer layers are sort of increasingly hierarchical aspects of the ecosystem, including things like the microsystem, in which the individual has direct personal contact, or the macrosystem towards the outside of this circle, which is a series of social, economic, cultural, and political influences on the individual. I did provide a citation here if you're interested. It's one citation where our research team, specifically Josh Reed, who's involved with BioTAP as well, has applied this model to some of his research. All right, so how are we using this ecosystem model? Well, most previous research related to STEM GTA and professional development has focused on the impacts of teaching professional development on the individual STEM graduate student as the unit of analysis as they engage in this TPD. What we're really interested in is understanding graduate student TPD at higher ecosystem levels. And more specifically for this study, we're interested in this macro system level, and even more specifically in the departmental cultures that influence the implementation and quality of graduate student TPD. So when we talk about culture is this complex thing to define. And so in our group, we've had a lot of discussions on what we mean by culture, and I want to just provide you with one framework that we've been using lately to talk about culture in a productive way. This is called the Four Frames Cultural Taxonomy. It's by Dan Reinholz. And basically what it does is it says that cultures kind of consist of four major components. One of these that you see here is the structures. So these are the sort of roles, responsibilities, practices, routines, incentives that organize how people interact within a system. Closely related to that is the symbols, and these are the sort of language, knowledge, values. You can think about like a departmental vision statement that kind of make up the culture. We've got the people, and these are unsurprisingly the people that are involved in participating in that culture. And then finally, the last piece is power. And power and people are also closely tied together, where power represents the interactions between those people and how they're mediated by power, status, politics, and things like that. Okay. So now that you have a sense sort of what we mean by culture, I want to return to our ecosystem models and point you to our guiding question. And so our guiding question is this: what departmental cultural characteristics, and you can think about this in terms of the structure, symbols, people, and power, do experts agree are associated with support for or barriers to graduate student teaching professional development, specifically in their institutions, in their departments? So this is our guiding question. And to answer this question, we've taken on a Delphi study methodology. And if you're unfamiliar with Delphi, I'm going to reduce it, kind of simplify it to three basic steps. It's a method for identifying expert consensus about a particular topic, and in this case, graduate student teaching professional development. And we've divided it into these three steps, where the first step is identifying the experts, so actually what you mean by experts in a Delphi study. And I'm going to have Eric talk about this a little bit more, but we did this in terms of data sources by submitting a pre-screening survey to various listservs. And like I said, we'll explain this in a little more detail in a second. The second step in a Delphi study, once you've identified your expert sample, is we've taken on conducting structured interviews with our participants. And with these interviews, we are currently analyzing the interviews to develop themes. And these themes will be related to the cultural characteristics of departments that act as supports and barriers to graduate student teaching professional development as articulated by these experts. As you can see, I'm already starting to slur graduate student teaching professional development. I'm not saying it clearly. I say it too quickly now. The last step is that we take these themes and we construct a survey. And this survey is sent back out to those experts. And then we ask the experts in this sample to rank these supports and barriers. And we're going to do it along terms of two sort of dimensions. One of these is the importance of the supports and barriers to the quality of graduate student teaching professional development. And the second is their difficulty to change. So how hard they are to adjust and change within a department. All right. I took the first half. Now you guys get the pleasure of hearing Eric work on the second half of this talk. So we'll get his perspective.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. So in defining our experts, we had to look at the pool of experts or faculty members. And basically what we did was to, the first group of experts are authors in the field who have extensively published in GTA. And we had about 68 experts in that particular chunk or that particular field. The second one, we had people who supported us with letters for the grant narrative, and there were 20 people. And the third one is a pool of BioTAP listserv. So we had initially about 79 people, and we had to trim it down by the research group to 49 after our meeting. So typically, what we did with this one, so the recruitment criteria is that it's either you have published extensively in GTA, or you are part of BioTAP listserv, or you provided a letter of support to the grant narrative. So what we did after this one is to go through the process of coding. We have our coding structure over there, but due to time, we are unable to share it with you. However, if you are interested in the codes, I'm happy to share them with you right after this one. In fact, I wanted to share it, but time wouldn't permit us when we practiced this one. So the first thing that we did, given that some of these codes, we are kind of looking at a particular framework which is guiding this work. There were a lot of codes which were already of interest to us. So some of these codes were already predefined based on our 4 frames. So we did deductive structural coding, and that was probably from the 4 codes that Grant mentioned. So we had codes for power, we had codes for the people frame, the structure frame, and the symbol frame. Then we still wanted to be double sure if what we are actually getting from the codes from the framework is synonymous to what is emerging from data. So what we did again is to do inductive structural coding or descriptive coding, which was also based on predetermined codes, based on codes from data, not predetermined codes. So overall, I'm going to share some preliminary results that are coming out from the interviews that we have done. So basically, the first one that we have done right now, as Grant mentioned, is the interviews. And these results are actually coming from, or they are preliminary results from the interviews. I have listed them in 2 tables on this slide and a different slide. So this one talks about the barriers to GSTPD. The first one, which transcended through all responses from our participant, is bystander effect. Everybody thinks that another person is doing it, so nobody ends up doing it. And another barrier greatly is time limitation. Everybody thinks that I don't have time to do this one, so it ends up not being done. The third one was pretty fascinating, indifference of those in authority. And I've coded these things according to their colors. So if you look at blue, blue is for people frame, green is for structure frame, purple is for symbol frame, and red is for power frame. So in terms of power, people in authority were indifferent towards GSTPD programs, particularly the departmental chairs. So, and the third barrier is faculty contentment with current instructional practice. And under this, one of the things which is coming out, if I'm expatiating this one, is faculty are so much vested in their natural sciences relative to the pedagogical know-how to instruct these natural sciences. And the third, or the next one, is priority on research relative to teaching. Essentially, most of these mentors are telling their graduate students to focus more of their attention on research relative to teaching, because it will interest you to know that most of them were even telling them PhD is all about research. And the next one is lack of expertise in pedagogy to foster TPD for graduate students. All right, so the next one, we have equation of TA orientations and seminars to full TPD programs, and lack of designated personnel to take up GSTPD programs in biology departments. And these were some of the themes that came out for drivers or levers for supporting GSTPD. The first one is extra GSTPD work recognition by the department and certificate to show that GS or graduate students have engaged teaching professional development. The next one is integration of graduate students teaching professional development into the mission and vision statement of the department, just so everybody knows that this is what we are supposed to do, which will counter the bystander effect. Then the last one is prolonged cognitive instructional apprenticeship for GS. By this, they meant to talk about how these graduate students are going to partner with experienced faculty in pedagogical growth or pedagogical instructional experiences. So going forward, now that we are done with getting the list ready, we are now going to rate these things. We are going to send them back in the form of a survey for these expert faculty to rank them along the lines of difficulty to change in the department and their impact on change within the department. So once they are done with this one, then we are going to take them again and take it back to them in a second survey. And the purpose of the second survey is for them to have the opportunity to re-rank and adjust based on the first rankings that they did. And that will help us to achieve consensus so that we can move forward. So basically, that's it for our study. I'm also on the job market, so I'm also on the job market. So if anybody is interested or has anything, please, you can share it with me.
And I added that. He didn't put that. So he just got stuck with saying it. So
Right.
that's my note.
Right.
So it sounds like we have a minute or two, I guess. I think we shot time just right. So a minute or two for questions if folks have them. And Eric and I will do our best to address these.
Mhm.
And if you're putting stuff in the chat, I don't know that I have it pulled up. I can find it. Or maybe Caleb can read it if something pops up in the chat. Or Katie.
So I found it was really interesting that you broke it into those kind of four, the cultural taxonomy and the four frames. And it seemed like the drivers kind of focused a bit more on, was it symbols, I think, than
Yeah,
the
structures and symbols.
yeah, than the other kind of what was getting in the way of it. And so I was curious if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would. So yes, I think that we have to be a little careful because I want to re-emphasize that these are our early findings of our data. This is
Right.
after, I mean, we're actually not even completely finished with our interviews yet. We still have a handful left to do. So this is some first pass analyses of the things that seem to be coming up again and again. I absolutely agree with you, Katie, that we are seeing some patterns right now that seem to indicate that perhaps there's some alignment between structures and symbols being more aligned with barriers and people in power being more aligned with supports. But I'm really hesitant to claim that there's a any type of relationship there that is clear until we finish all our data analysis.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that
But I
makes sense.
think it's a cool pattern that we are also seeing that might come to fruition. I just don't know yet.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm seeing a question here from Stephanie about being curious to know if there's any common themes you noticed that surprised you so far.
You want to tackle that? Any common themes that you think have surprised you?
I would probably think of this theme, which really surprised me, that is faculty contentment with current instructional practice. It came as a surprise because you would need both the content and the pedagogical skill set to be a wholesome person in the classroom as an instructor. But it sounded more of people being so overly vested in their natural sciences relative to the how of instructing those natural sciences. So that came as a surprise to me. In fact, that is the main one. And I really talked to some of my colleagues about this one. So basically, that's the only thing which is coming out as a surprise to me.
And Eric comes from the I can't say you come from the K-12 world, but
Right.
a lot of his training is more in the K-12 world, and so I think exploring this world of discipline-based education research and faculty instruction at this level has been an interesting experience for him learning about the culture of some of these biology departments that some of us have lived in for a while.
Right.
So
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that would be a little different. I'd say welcome to the Thunderdome from Beth. And yes, it looks like we'll have to hear the follow-up in the rest of your study at next year's BioTAP conference.
yeah, we look forward to it. Hopefully even sooner that we'll have data done. But yes, we will definitely share the results next BioTAP.
Great. Are there other questions that anyone has for Grant and Eric?
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have contact here, and if anybody wants to contact us about anything in the future, especially if you know of job opportunities, we're always looking to get Eric in the job market. So we're happy to respond.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And good luck on the search. And great talk. Thank you.
All right.
All right. I will try to stop sharing too, so I'm not, where's the stop share button? Why am I missing it?
They always change it in the updates. All right. Well, our next talk doesn't start until 2:55. So if you want to take a quick break, you're welcome to step away, and then we will start back up again in just a couple minutes.